Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get to it. First question. Guy writes, maybe extensive, informative footage about water retention. I would love to know how to keep full muscles without underskin retention. Is that possible? Not really, not without the use of drugs. Absolutely not. In fact, if you try to do that year-round, if you were to try to keep your muscles full and keep water retention really low under your skin and use various combinations of drugs to pull that off, it will work until you start having kidney problems. It would be harmful to your health, and it's not beneficial. You're just going to have to learn to live with, shifts in fluid balance. And you know what? It's going to shift on you every day. It's going to shift on you every day. I promise you, no matter what you do, unless you are using drugs to control it, you are not going to look the same when you get up in the morning as when you go to bed at night. I mean, I know for me personally, the shift is actually pretty dramatic. I usually gain about 10 pounds in the day myself. I gain about 10 pounds from morning to evening if I weigh myself in the morning versus at night. And I gain a lot of water under my skin throughout the day. And this varies from person to person. There's not much you can do about that. What I would suggest to you, if it's that big a deal of you, if you're that obsessed with your aesthetics that it's so important to you that you actually are concerned about this, I'm going to recommend that you just stay leaner. Stay leaner. That's the only real control you're going to have of the situation in any meaningful way. The less fat you have under your skin, the leaner you're going to look, because the leaner you're going to be, and the less water you're going to tend to hold under your skin. But you just got to learn to live with this and not obsess over aesthetics so much that you think that you have to maintain this state all the time. It's not that big of a deal. I can assure you, all these guys you see on YouTube and Instagram and everything else, they oftentimes don't just take their shirt off randomly. All right, they don't look as good as they look every day, 7 days a week, morning and night. I promise you they don't. I promise you they don't. It's just for show. Most of them have done a little bit of work usually to just kind of look their best before they go shirtless in front of the camera. I can promise you that. Don't worry about it that much. It's not worth it. All right, next question. Do you really think all protein whey powders are basically just fart powders? I'm leaning towards never buying another container, but I do feel it might be beneficial right after a hard workout. 1 scoop with water, twice a week, 4 workouts a week, just a couple shakes a week. I don't see what benefit that would have over just eating normal food. And that's what it comes down to. People want that for a convenience factor, but if you were really serious about your nutrition and your training, why wouldn't you have food ready all the time anyways? Meaning, if you're so concerned with this, that needing adequate protein, whatever you happen to think that you need, if you're that concerned with it to the point to where you're going and buying a product every month for it, then you should be serious enough about what you are doing that you will have food prepared all the time. It's not that hard to cook 3 or 4 pounds of chicken or lean beef at a time and have it in the refrigerator ready to go. It's just not that hard. Crock pots, Greek yogurt. I mean, and I'll be honest, I drank a protein shake the other day because I realized when I got to the gym that I hadn't eaten enough carbs. We went a lot earlier that day than we're used to. Brittany had some stuff we needed to sort, we needed to handle, and we were at the gym. It was like 7 a.m., and I don't usually train at 7 a.m. We did that day, and I realized I didn't quite get enough carbs, and I could feel it. I felt a little empty. My blood sugar was trying to drop just a hair during the training, so I went and bought one of the things they had already available. Paid $3 for this thing, mind you, because that's what they had available. But a protein shake wouldn't have been my choice. If they had Greek yogurt there in a refrigerator instead of a protein shake, I would have bought that instead. I would rather have had that than a protein shake. But I bought one of their little ones that had whatever, 50 grams of protein and 50 grams of carbs, and I paid $3 for this thing, and I drank it because I needed it to get through my workout, and I let it set in for 5 minutes, and I went back to training. But I just noticed my blood sugar was dipping a little on around my second or third real work set. And because, again, my own fault, we went to the gym a lot earlier than I was planning, and I didn't quite get enough pre-workout food in to really perform ideally. But, those are one-off situations. Those are really, really one-off situations. And quite frankly, had the gym had real food there available too, I would have chosen that first. That would have been my first choice. And there have been times in the past where I've taken carbs and stuff with me to the gym in the event that this happens, but I haven't been doing that lately. And it was just lack of preparation on my part. And I do understand that on rare occasion, just convenience, something's wrong, your refrigerator breaks. I get it. Your refrigerator's out, your power's out, and you don't have a good source of protein, so you have a tub laying around for that. I totally get that. But people who think they actually need to have it for convenience are literally not prepared at all. They're not really serious about what they're doing, or they would have food prepped 24/7 to meet their needs. Like if you were serious about your strength and athleticism and muscle and all that, you would be doing that anyways. And it would probably cost you a lot less, and you wouldn't be putting money into the pockets of these unscrupulous companies. And that's just how I feel about it. It's that simple. All right, next question. Hey, Jason, how much direct flexibility training do you do? For me, it really depends on what's going on. As far as flexibility training, your weight training handles that. When you're in the situation to where you lack the mobility, there's a difference between flexibility and mobility. I don't care about flexibility. It doesn't matter for anything I do. Mobility matters though. If you lack the mobility to perform an exercise safely and correctly, you need to do mobility work. All right. In other words, you might need to do some mobility work to get your squats down to depth. You know what? That's normal. A lot of people need to do that. I had to do some mobility work when I first got back into training. Right now, I have to do shoulder mobility work because my shoulder mobility is bad. I have problems with it. It's something I need to work on. It's interfering with my ability to train the way that I want to train. All right, it's affecting my overhead press. I'm doing mobility work for my shoulders every single day. Every day. I'm doing band work. I'm doing like those over-unders you do with the band. Also doing band pull aparts. I'm doing hangs from a chin-up bar. I'm doing things to work on my shoulder mobility because I need to. I don't do any mobility work for my lower body. Why would I need to? I can squat ass to grass. I can front squat ass to grass. I can do deficit deadlifts. I let my weight training train my mobility. All right, because once the mobility is there, the weight should be able to maintain it. And if you have specific issues, then you need to address those specific issues. But some people don't need to do any mobility work. But again, once you're set in and your mobility is where you need it to be to perform your exercises correctly with moderately heavy or very heavy weight, you don't need further mobility work. Not necessary. I think too many people obsess over it too much. Yes, it can be necessary for a while for any given exercise. You might need to do it for 5 different areas because you have 4 or 5 exercises you're so stoved up you can't perform correctly. That's fine. Do the amount of mobility work you need to. Me personally, all of mine is for my shoulders right now because it needs to be addressed. Once it's fixed and I can do everything correctly, I'll allow the weight training to maintain it. As simple as that. All right, next question. Jason, if you've been mucking around the gym for years doing high volume work and isolation exercise but never really gained much strength during that time, then you decide that you're a weak pussy and you need to do more strength training, will the drop in volume mean that you won't grow? All right, why would you think that? Why would you think that? I want to ask you a simple question. Do you think it is possible? Do you think it is biologically possible to go from a 275 squat to a 400-pound squat without gaining muscle in your quads, your glutes, or your core? Do you think it can be done? It's absolutely impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Do you think, no matter what curls you were doing, that it's possible to go from only being able to do 1 dead hang chin-up to being able to do 5 dead hang chin-ups with 50 pounds tied around your waist without your biceps growing? In other words, is it even possible for them to stay the same size, the same amount of muscle, and gain that strength? No, it is biologically impossible for you to do that. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. Yes, volume is important for muscle growth. Volume is important for strength gaining. But if you are doing enough volume to actually gain strength, and you're not a complete noob making your initial neuromuscular changes, you are not going to gain strength without gaining muscle. So the question becomes, why would you even be concerned with this? People have been ingrained so much that ultra high volume and doing 37 sets of cable curls and cable side laterals and pec deck, if they don't do 37 sets of pec deck, that their chest can't grow. That's nonsense, guys. That's not reality. Volume matters, yes. Workload matters, absolutely. But you can't get stronger without getting bigger. You cannot do it. You can't do it. I mean, you can try all you want, but you're not going to be very successful. So again, you're worrying about things that are pretty much impossible. Don't worry about it. Get stronger. You'll grow. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.